Hello everybody, my name is Shelly and I'm so glad that you guys are here. Because I originally thought I was going to do 3 looks, but I thought I've got 2 eyes. I could do 2 looks at a time and then we can kind of just sort of get a better picture of what we can get out of this 30 pan palette. Now there are a mixture of mattes and neutrals. I love the fact that we've got some darker shades down here. We've got a lot of like what appears to be kind of transitional shades, and then you've got that pop of shimmer when you want to kind of make things a little bit more sparkly. No pressed glitters, which makes me super happy. And I do like the size of this pan because with a palette this large, you're probably not going to pan all of the shades at the same time. I do feel like this is largely kind of a spring, maybe summer sort of palette. I'm going to start with this kind of apricot-y shade right here. I have to remember to not do both eyelids. I'm going to scooch in a little bit here. Do both eyelids because that I get talking and then I forget. If you are new to my channel, I am a lady of a certain age. Pretty obvious about that one. I am not a professional makeup artist, soon to be obvious if you're new, and I'm not a professional YouTuber. I just do this for fun. Shout out to my friends that are hanging out here with me and those that come back around. I really do appreciate you guys. If you are new, I hope you'd consider hitting that subscribe button. I've just gone into a little bit above my crease here, a little bit up. I think that gives you kind of a nice transition shade. I have to make sure to keep it up because I do have mature hooded eyes and I'm almost feeling that little wash of color wasn't quite saturated enough. I might go in with a little bit more here. The other thing to keep in mind is if I would have used a eyeshadow primer or an eye base beforehand, I would expect these colors to be a lot more saturated. Okay, that's a little bit better. So because I'm using this apricot color, I suspect I'm going with a little warmer look. I'm gonna do this, it looks like a sequin shade down here at the bottom. I'm gonna grab that on a little bit smaller brush. This one is called Basque. The first one was called Remote. I don't know what these names signify, they mean. I thought I would go kind of out here a little bit, maybe darken it up. I'm playing with these because I still wanted to get kind of a really good idea just in case you guys were kind of minimalists and were looking to pick up one palette. I think that there's a lot of sales going on with Colourpop right now. I know I've seen their mega palettes on sale for 50% off recently within the last couple months. And I wanted to, you know, sort of let you guys know that with some of these big palettes, they tend to have smaller pan sizes. And I like that because I don't think you're gonna pan the whole entire palette. But if you are someone who, you know, looks for one of these mega palettes every 6 months, something that can get you through 2 seasons, maybe even a transition, I'm kind of getting the feeling like this is one of them. Really liking this kind of coppery bronze color. I don't know if I'd call it copper. Yeah, kind of. It's a warmer metallic. I am putting it on with a dry brush right now. I did not wet the brush. That's that kind of coppery color. It's pretty. I think that this is one of those eye looks where you need to trust the process. And once you put on eyeliner and mascara, it makes it all the difference and kind of pulls it all in together. So I'm just kind of blending a little bit here. I probably should have done more under eye concealer because I'm looking a little dark. Grab a little tiny bit of the Tatcha Pearl just to kind of brighten this up here. Oh my gosh, I can hear the wind outside. I have the house to myself right now except for the pup. Allie just snored, I think. My husband's out doing band practice right now. That sounds weird. Usually I would say that my kids are out doing band practice, but my plays guitar and bass and sings in a band. And my son's at work and my daughter, I'm guessing she's at work too. Sometimes she pops in. So I have the house to myself. It's kind of nice to be able to do this. I'm all packed for my next trip. Laundry's in process of getting done. House is relatively cleaned up. See, I haven't started playing yet because it is Sunday that I'm filming this. Okay, I'm gonna move on here. I need to put on some mascara. So I think I'm gonna use, I think this Too Faced Better Than Sex might be done. It smells a little chemically. I'm gonna put it in my declutter or my trash. Or I'm gonna put it in my trash video as soon as I'm done filming this. I'm gonna try to get the last couple uses out of this and then I'll round file it. It's time to say goodbye. All right. I am so obsessed with mascara. I think if there's one thing that I could ever not have, there's one thing I couldn't live without, it would probably have to be mascara. Boy, I think I want to go back into that apricot-y shade. I'm pretty much staying to this row right now. I'm gonna grab that apricot shade and just kind of smoke it out just a little bit. I say smoke, but when I usually think of smoking out, I usually I'm thinking of a darker, more dramatic look. And this right now is feeling very almost light and effervescent and very daytime appropriate, maybe even work appropriate. And I think if I were gonna take this look up to date night, I'd maybe throw on some black eyeliner or maybe a bronzy eyeliner, maybe even a colored eyeliner. But There we go. There's look number 1. So, I mean, all of these rows, these columns are very neutral. So I'm going to be doing very neutral looks. But I like the fact that largely Colourpop gives you, you know, two or three shimmers in a row, and they make a good color story. You can also go diagonally along a lot of rows and get kind of a look. You can do quads of color usually, like that would be a gorgeous quad. That would be a gorgeous quad. There you go again, depending on how dark you want to go. So I think there's a lot of different ways to read these palettes. I feel like with Colourpop, they just make it really easy to use. And I love that. Okay, I'm gonna go to this far column over here. I'm grabbing the neutral. This is a lot of kick up. Wow, way more kick up than I thought. This one's called Covet. And dusting off the excess. I'm actually gonna go all over my lid with this one. I feel like this color's a little cooler than some of the other tans. This is more of kind of like your sandy brown. I think there's a big trend for that right now. I mean, as people are maybe starting to wear more makeup, whether you're wearing more makeup because of the holidays or because you've lost your summer skin tone, like you've lost your summer tan. I'm gonna go into the darker shade here. I'm just using the same brush too. Keep things simple. Wow. You know what? I really like how this is turning out, and I would normally go into this one, but I think I'm going to grab this one right here, which is a gold shimmer fuzz on this. I'm going to put it, oh, wrong eye. I'm going to put it right in the middle right here. And I do have that other shade, that lighter shade, kind of all over my lid, so this is going on top of that. I'm not blending in this dark line right here because I do want it to be more of like a subtle cut crease. We haven't been doing cut creases in a long time, have we? And I'm bringing that all the way down to my lash line. It gives a little lift right there in the center. Doesn't make my eyes look, gives it a little bit more of a rounded look. And then I'm actually going to take, and that was shade, what shade was that? That was shade Weekend. I'm going to take this little bit darker one called Must Stay. Take it, oh, a lot of kick up. I'm going to take it right here. I normally don't do any kind of like halo look because I think when I do darker closer in, my eyes get a little closer together. If you guys are not new here, you've heard me say that ad nauseum. I apologize. I don't mean to be a broken book, but I think about it as I'm doing it. And I'm like, oh, this is going to really work out. Okay, that look is different than this one. This one's very much a warm, almost, I want to say call it sunsetty. This is a little bit more on the cool side. I'm going to take that same shade, Must Stay, down here under my lashes. It's so gold and sparkly, but I'm hoping it won't get up into my contacts. Okay, I need to do a little bit of cleanup here. I'm going to use a little bit of Touch of Pearl again on my eye base film. I think it's okay. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of this and just sort of clean up under my eyes a little bit. It's a little brightening, which is kind of what I want, but it's also a little on the emollient side. So it helps kind of clean up a little bit. I have been babbling. I apologize. Getting a little bit off track, but I'm here just kind of, you know, talking with my friends, so I'm all over the place. I sometimes have to explain to my husband how I get certain thoughts. Like he'll say a word and I'll say something completely unrelated, and then I have to go, okay, here's how I got there. And I give him the path, and then he goes, oh, okay, that makes sense. It's like word association. Okay. Putting on, again, my Better Than Sex mascara, which I'm hoping to move on from as soon as I'm done with this. Wow. When I look at the eyeshadows up closer in a mirror, they actually are very, very pretty. Colourpop doesn't typically disappoint me. Usually their formulas are great. I love their little quads, their little 4-pan quads. Those are probably some of my favorites. They're just, if I'm in a rush or whatever, they make it so easy because there's literally no thinking involved. They give you exactly what you need to pull together a look. You're just not going to get creative. Like you're not going to have a bunch of different looks with the little 4 pans. I love those. The 9 pans I think give you some variety and you can end up doing a bunch of different looks. I think those are really good for travel with as well. So okay, so that is my look number 2. Again, it's largely similar, but maybe just a little cooler, even though I did use a gold. I know that sounds weird, but I feel like this with that apricot as my transition shade really gave this a warm look. And this one over here, I think is a little bit more subtle. I think both of these I could wear with glasses. I don't think either one of them are so jarring that they would compete with my heavy frames. But I do like the eyeshadow. I think it's weird that I don't have anything on my lips. That's a little weird. Okay, I'm gonna take these off. I'll be right back. We're gonna do looks 3 and 4. Okay, back, largely cleaned up. I did take that Touch of Pearl all over my lids this time, just to kind of give it a little bit of a base without being like a full concealer or, oh, just dropped a lid. Without being a full concealer or a eyelid primer. So if it looks a little bit more even toned, that's what I've done. And then because my lips were driving me crazy, I did a little bit of the Colourpop Luxe. What do they call this? I think it's just a Luxe lip, but this is in L'Auberge, which I think was part of the Dark Blooms collection last year. It was last year, right? My times are all kind of running together here. Okay, row right here, this column right here next. And the main reason why is because this sort of dark plumbing color is giving me all kinds of like fall feels. And I want to really see if that's a possibility. So we're going in with this kind of tan color. And again, if you're into the sand neutrals, which I think are pretty popular right now, this palette seems like it has several. Like these two are very similar. Actually, these three seem like they're very similar, where this is a little bit more of a cool toned version. Oh wait, yeah, no, that's the right column. I was like, wait, did I just do the wrong one? So I went in twice with just kind of a big fluffy brush, and I feel like that gave me pretty good coverage. Okay, I'm gonna go in with a little smaller brush with that this plum color down here. And I'm doing just kind of the same. Maybe I'm gonna keep it a little bit higher. This plum color, it's a brown with like a plum, like a purpley plum tone to it, if that makes sense. It's like a purpley brown, and I am loving it. I think it's so pretty. It's so pretty and fall-like, and when I first started looking at this palette, I'm like, oh, it's a spring and summer palette. And then I play with this plum color, I'm like, oh, but then we have fall here. I've gone in a couple times, but I'm not picking up very much pigment. Picking up a little bit of product and buffing it into that sand color, and it's so pretty. I think I almost would do that sand color all over my lid, and then this plum color as either, you know, kind of give it a little bit of definition or a little bit of drama, a little bit of structure, maybe contouring with it, and then call it a day for work. Like I probably wouldn't do much more because I like to do mattes for work. Okay, I'm gonna use this shimmer down here, but I'm gonna apply it with my finger this time. Typical Colourpop shimmers are very creamy. They're not dry. There's some brands out there that when you go to use their shimmers, they're so dry. But I think that's what makes these best to apply with finger, because they go on so smoothly. Love, love, love that. And then because they give us this light blue in here, they've given us a couple of these. This one feels a little different, a little chunkier than that one. That one feels a lot more creamy. This one's more of a topper. And I wasn't gonna do it, but I think they put these in the wrong order. I'm actually gonna use this shimmer over here. And I wanna use this one, but I think this is the topper that I'm gonna use in my next look. So I'm gonna put a little bit of this right down here just to give that lower lash line a little bit of, actually, you know what? I'm gonna use a little bit of it in here too. I'm taking this just way past work right now. I feel like I'm getting a little bit of that shimmer in texture, under eye texture, and I don't know that that's super flattering. Kind of dust it off a little bit here. It's just kind of blend it in. I probably need my concealer here, my eye brightener. One of the things about being a lady of a certain age when you do a lot of these is it does kind of take a toll on your eyelid. Okay, I'm gonna ignore that gold. I probably would have used that in my inner corner instead of this, but we're gonna move on here. I'm actually gonna grab a little bit more of this plummy color. It's not really an eggplant. It's more like a kind of a wine color. Just gonna dust a little bit through the lash line here, and maybe we'll take a little bit on too. This is honestly one of my favorite looks with that plum and the tan and a little bit of kind of like that goldish copper goodness. And then I'm gonna take the lighter shade in this row too, and we're just gonna drag it down just a little bit below it to kind of soften it up. I'm just gonna leave a little of that blue shimmer kind of peeking out. I think that's really pretty. Okay. Back to our old AF Too Faced mascara. Wow, it does look really pretty in person. It does look really pretty up close with in a magnifying mirror, just in case you guys were curious. If I would leave the house with these colors on, I can tell you I absolutely would. The other thing about this palette, I feel like they could have gotten away with doing this color story in a 9 pan, maybe even a 12 or 15 pan, but that's my third look. Anyway, they could have gotten away, I think, with doing a lot of the color stories in here in a smaller pan, or a smaller size palette, and that would have been great, but they didn't. I'm gonna skip the kind of warm one here because I already did a look with that apricot, but I'm gonna go back to this shade over here, this row. I used just this one time. I'm gonna do, this isn't gonna be a daytime look, I think. I'm gonna go a little bit even darker with this. That way you guys have 2 daytime looks and 2 kind of date night looks. Most of my daytime looks, I try to make them work appropriate. I think the only thing I would change with this really would be, I probably wouldn't do the shimmer. So the shade that I'm using right now, and I keep going back into because it's a taupe shade, but it's very soft on me, and it's called Cruise. And I've gone in a few times, and it's really just kind of setting down that eyelid. It's not giving me a ton of opacity. Not opacity, but I feel like the shade is so soft, especially on me, that it makes a nice transition shade, but it's not going to be like my ride or die shade, if that makes sense. I'm going to go into this next one down called Prime Time. It's not the next one down. It's like two down. But I'm going to go into Prime Time next. And that I'm going to take all over my lid, all over my movable lid, and up. This one seems like it's a little warmer than than I would have expected for this column, with knowing that that transition shade was so light. So maybe this is this is a shade that's supposed to go in the row more than in the column. And I'm just going to tell you right now that my end result for this look is going to be quite a bit different than how I've got right now. Okay, and I'm going to go into the dark kind of teal, blue, green color, more blue than green, called Sporty. And this is what's going to make this my date night look. Doing kind of a C formation out here. And I do like that. Originally I was like, do I want to pull it up? I think I might pull it up a little bit right here. Because I feel like when if I cut down too far, then I get really hood heavy. And as soon as I bring it up just a little bit and don't cut off my eyelid this way with shade and actually bring it up a little bit, it actually lifts my eyelid. If you have smaller hooded eyes, please try that trick. Just adjust it just a little bit, see if it doesn't make a difference. And all I did was, instead of having it cut off right here, I just brought it up a little bit more, look straight ahead so I can still see it, and I feel like it brought my eye up. A little eye lift and a eyeshadow. Okay, I'm gonna go back into this topper over here, and I'm just picking up some of my finger. It's called Rum Season, and I'm just pressing that right over the top. It is a glitter. I was thinking that they didn't have their pressed glitters, but this really does feel like a glitter topper, but it's more finely milled than what we've seen before. So I think sometimes Colourpop's glitters feel very chunky, and that one feels a lot more soft, and that is really pretty. What a pretty holiday shade. On a smaller brush, that Sporty shade. And I'm going to pack a little bit more on here because I want to richen that up a little bit. And I'm going to drag it down here. Bold, smoky eye look. I feel like probably got too much shade in certain parts of my eyeball that I didn't need to. And then now I'm going to go into the same kind of, I almost feel like it's an icy shade. This Sun's Out that I used over here. I'm going to pack here. Using different brush, little pencil brush. That brown shade with the pressed glitter on top is really, really pretty. I think I've seen similar shades that are like duochromes that have that kind of look to them. I love that. We're gonna go up a little bit far here. I think Molly Glines would call it a little scoopity-boop. Totally different look than this one. Crazy. Okay, I do feel like I need to maybe buff a little bit more up here, soften it. I want the lift that the shadow gives, but I don't want the harsh line. Did get some glitter fallout, so perhaps if you are going to use that shade or if you're doing a date night look, perhaps wait. Wait until after you get the eyeshadow on and then put it on. I feel like I want a little bit of black liner too. I like that. I'll get up my wing here a little bit. Yeah, I like that a lot. Let me put some mascara on. Okay, guys, I noticed that with that glitter, that kind of glitter topper that I used, it didn't stick very well. Like it sticked, but then I have creasing, and that's not a pretty look. So I'm gonna just get a brush damp with, I've got this Milani Make It Last setting spray. I don't like to spray this on my face just because it's such an aggressive spray, but it does make a good brush dampener. So I've got a damp brush now. I'm gonna load up this shadow. At least try to. Let's see if I can't press that on here to cover up some of those creases that I was seeing. Brushes here a little bit. But I love that look. It feels very dramatic and pretty. I'm just kind of dusting off some of that glitter from the darker shade here. I feel like this looks like a party look, like a true party look. Very much a date night look for me, whereas this is much more of a normal, regular daytime look, and then we have our party look over here, or a date night look over here. I know when you first look at it, you see a boatload of neutrals, and like one teal and one coral. And then you even notice these two kind of shimmery blues. And if you're like me, I don't do a lot of shimmery blue eyeshadow on my eyes. I don't do a lot of pastel eyeshadow on my eyes. But I think that this is actually a pretty good palette for everyday, regular girl use. You get enough in here to get a little dramatic if you wanted to. You can do the soft and pretty looks, the warm and cozy looks, the more exotic date night looks, in my opinion. So this is actually a very fun palette. Let me know if you guys were gonna pick this up, if this kind of video of different looks gives you some ideas of how not only they perform on a lady of a certain age, but the color stories, and can you get them to work for you. I think if you have similar coloring to me, then it's a no-brainer. And if you're coloring very slightly, then I think you do have some opportunity here. I don't know if it's gonna help with my, you know, deeper skin toned viewers. I just don't know. I don't get a chance to play around in your skin tone enough. I do have some girlfriends that I really want to get a hold of and just kind of play with makeup, but that way I can give you guys a better idea on a variety of skin tones and ranges. I tend to be a light, medium, neutral is kind of usually my skin tone. Dark hair, sometimes that changes, but for right now it's we've got the dark hair and the light medium, if that helps. I don't know if that helps you guys. I would say that some of these, if you can get these on, especially on sale, if you don't really need them, if you are looking for a palette that's going to get you through 6 months, this is a good one. Yeah, I can recommend that. All right, you guys, I hope you guys are doing really well, and until my next video, bye for now.